It all began on a sunny Saturday morning, the kind of day that makes you believe everything in life is finally coming together. I had just closed on my dream property, a beautiful lakefront home tucked into a quiet neighborhood I'd been eyeing for years. After 20 years in law enforcement, I'd finally made it. This wasn't just a house. It was a reward, a place where I could unwind, fish in peace, watch the sunrise with a cup of coffee, and forget about sirens, late-night calls, and court subpoenas. I rented a U-Haul, loaded it up with my furniture and gear, and made the short drive to the new place. It was early, around 8:30 a.m., and the neighborhood was calm, birds chirping, breeze soft. I backed the truck carefully into the driveway, double-checked that I wasn't blocking any sidewalks or mailboxes, and popped open the back to start unloading. I was pulling out my recliner, the one I planned to park right in front of the bay window, when I felt eyes on me, that prickly sensation, the kind that tells you someone's watching. I glanced up and saw her, arms crossed, lips pinched tight, standing about 20 feet away on the sidewalk, like she was guarding the Queen's palace. She had the look, you know the one, high-waisted capri pants, visor hat, a shirt that probably said live, laugh, love in sequins, and the unmistakable aura of someone who took a neighborhood newsletter *way* seriously. You can't park that here, she snapped before I could say a single word. I set the recliner down gently and turned toward her, wiping my hands. Good morning to you too, I said. I'm just unloading. Won't be more than a couple hours. Her arms tightened. This is a private road. We don't allow moving trucks on weekends. It disrupts the neighborhood aesthetic. I almost laughed, but her face was stone serious. It's my driveway, I said calmly, and my property. I'm just moving in today. Not without checking with the HOA. You're not, she said. Who approved this move-in? Didn't know I needed to be approved to use my own driveway. Oh, you *do*, she said with a satisfied smirk. I'm Karen, yes. *that Karen, and I'm the HOA president. And this looks like a code violation. She pulled a phone from her fanny pack like she was drawing a gun. I'm calling the sheriff. Now, let me be clear. I've dealt with a lot of situations in my career: domestic disputes, bar fights, even a goat stuck in a trampoline once, but this was new. A civilian calling the police on a man for unloading his furniture into his own home. The irony would have been funny if it weren't so ridiculous. I smiled. Not sarcastic, not mocking. Just calm. That won't be necessary, I told her. But Karen wasn't listening. She'd already dialed. Yes, I need a deputy out here immediately. There's a suspicious man parked in a moving truck. He refuses to leave. I think he's squatting or something. I stood there, arms crossed now, watching her dig her own hole. She kept glancing at me like I was going to make a run for it or pull out a chainsaw. I guess her imagination ran wild with crime shows. She ended the call triumphantly. They're on their way. You'll be gone by sunset. I wanted to tell her who I was, that she just called the cops on the sheriff. But something stopped me. Maybe it was curiosity. Maybe I just wanted to see how far she'd take it. Either way, I went back to unloading, grabbed a box labeled kitchen, and walked it inside, chuckling softly to myself. About 20 minutes later, I heard the familiar crunch of gravel under tires. A black and white patrol SUV rolled slowly down the street. 2 deputies stepped out. They were good men. Both of them had worked under me for years, and they knew exactly who I was. But the best part, they also knew how to play along. Karen came power walking toward them like a mall cop on Red Bull. Officers, thank God. That's him right there. He won't leave. One of the deputies, Carter, glanced over at me and gave the smallest smirk. Then he turned to her, polite as ever. Mum, could you explain what happened? Karen launched into a dramatic retelling, waving her arms like she was reporting a hostage situation. He just showed up, no warning, big truck, unloading who knows what. There are rules here. He wouldn't even give me his name. Carter nodded thoughtfully. I see. So, you believe he's trespassing? No, he is. She snapped. Carter turned toward me, now completely straight-faced. Sir, he said formally. Do you have any identification? I reached into my back pocket, pulled out my leather badge holder, and flipped it open. The sunlight caught the silver badge just right. Karen's face contorted mid-sentence. Carter grinned. Thanks, Sheriff. You want to handle this, or should I? Karen blinked. Sheriff. Wait. What? I walked toward her slowly, letting it all sink in. Karen, I said, I appreciate your enthusiasm for community order, but I am the sheriff of this county. I bought this property last week. I'll be living here now. So unless you're planning to cite me for improper recliner placement, I suggest you go home. Her mouth opened, then closed, then opened again. But the HOA. I held up a hand. HOA doesn't override state law or property ownership, and calling 911 on a lawful resident because you don't like how a truck looks. That's borderline misuse of emergency services, she sputtered, her brain clearly crashing like a bad Wi-Fi signal. You tricked me. I didn't trick you, I said with a shrug. You never asked who I was. You just assumed. The second deputy, Martinez, gave her a slight shake of the head. Ma'am, you might want to take this as a learning opportunity. Karen turned and stormed off, nearly tripping over a sprinkler. Head in her rush. As she disappeared around the corner, I turned back to the guys. Beer and ribs at my place next Saturday, I said. Carter laughed. We'll bring the cornbread. I went back to my moving truck, smiling bigger than I had in months. Welcome home, Sheriff. She didn't come back that afternoon. Not right away anyway. After the deputies left with a few chuckles and a promise to swing by for barbecue next weekend, I continued unloading the rest of the truck, box by box. I couldn't stop grinning. Karen had called the sheriff on the sheriff, and she was still somewhere out there trying to figure out how that had gone so wrong. By sunset, the last of my things were inside. I cracked open a cold drink, sat on the porch, and let the lake breeze wash over me. Peace, finally. But peace, as I learned quickly, was a fragile thing in this neighborhood. The next morning, just after sunrise, I heard footsteps on gravel. Not the soft shuffle of a morning jogger or a dog walker. This was brisk, deliberate, and coming straight from my porch. I looked up from my coffee. It was Karen. She marched toward me with a binder in one hand, a pen clipped to the front, and a determined fire in her eyes. We need to talk, she announced, as if we were in a courtroom and I was already found guilty. Morning, I said without moving. Coffee? I'm not here for pleasantries, she snapped. I spent all night reviewing the HOA charter and neighborhood covenants. I sipped my coffee. There are several clauses that apply to your property, sheriff or not, she continued. For instance, Section 8C clearly states that all residents must submit paint colors for approval prior to repainting any part of the home exterior. I raised an eyebrow. I haven't painted anything. Well, you might asterisk, and when you do, I expect full compliance. I nodded slowly, suppressing the laugh forming behind my lips. Got it. No rogue paint buckets. Karen took a breath, then flipped a page. Also, lawn maintenance. You need to keep your grass trimmed to a maximum height of 3 inches. We measure, of course you do. And don't even think about installing one of those plastic flamingos or wind chimes. This isn't a trailer park. That did it. I let out a full, genuine laugh. Karen's face went stiff. Are you laughing at the rules? She asked, insulted. No, I said. I'm laughing because I haven't even lived here 24 hours. And you've already dug through every line of that binder like it's the Constitution. I care about this neighborhood, she declared proudly. We don't need outsiders coming in and disrupting everything. Outsiders? I leaned forward slightly. Karen, I bought this house. I'm your neighbor. I'm also the highest-ranking law enforcement official in the county. You might want to rethink how you talk to people. Her expression didn't budge. Badge or not, you don't get special treatment here. And I'm not asking for any, I said calmly. But let me make something clear. What you did yesterday, calling law enforcement on a legal homeowner, was more than just overstepping. It bordered on harassment. Karen opened her mouth to argue, but I wasn't done. I know your type. You think authority is something to wield like a weapon. You like control. But real authority earned authority is about responsibility, not power. You could have welcomed me. You could have introduced yourself, offered help, maybe even shared the name of a good pizza place. But instead, you reached for the phone. Like I was a threat. I was doing my duty as HOA president. She replied coldly. No, I said. Standing up now. You were feeding your ego. You saw a stranger, made a snap judgment, and thought you could flex your little title. That's not leadership, that's paranoia. Karen's face twitched, caught between anger and shame. She closed the binder. You're not going to last long here, she said quietly. I stepped closer, my tone soft but firm. Karen, I'm not going anywhere. I earned this home. I've worked cases that would keep you up at night. I've seen tragedy, loss, and real evil. All I want now is some peace and quiet. But if you try to make that difficult for me or anyone else around here, I will respond. She took a step back. Is that a threat? No, I said. It's a promise. I protect people for a living. That includes protecting them from petty power plays and harassment. So let's start fresh. Or not. Your call. She hesitated for a long second, then turned and walked off. Without a word. The days that followed were interesting. Karen didn't speak to me, but I noticed her walking by my house at odd hours. Sometimes she'd pause and jot something down in her little notepad, like a detective in a movie. I waved when I saw her. She never waved back. The rest of the neighborhood, though, had no such reservations. Word traveled fast. By the end of the week, I'd had a half-dozen neighbors drop by, some bringing pies, others just curiosity. Most of them started the same way. So, I heard you're the sheriff and Karen tried to have you arrested. Apparently, it had become legend. One guy even said, that woman's been terrorizing this street for 10 years. You're the first one to make her shut up and walk away. I didn't take pride in embarrassing her, but I also didn't mind finally bringing a little balance to the community. I made it clear to everyone that I wasn't there to throw my title around. I just wanted to live like everyone else, no drama, no problems. And for the most part, I got what I wanted. Weeks passed. I landscaped my yard, painted the porch swing, and added a small flagpole out front after checking with the HOA guidelines. Of course, every now and then I'd catch Karen glaring at it from down the street. One afternoon, I was walking back from the mailbox when she crossed the road and, without looking me in the eye, muttered, "The flag looks fine." I smiled. "Thanks, Karen." She nodded once and kept walking. Progress. That night, as the sun dipped behind the trees and the lake shimmered in gold, I sat out on the porch again, feet kicked up, drink in hand. I watched the still water and listened to the crickets warming up for the night. Peace, at last. Sometimes the job follows you home, and sometimes it's already waiting for you there. But in my neighborhood now, people think twice before they overstep. Because now, the badge lives here.